Hey all, Gary Simon of Coursetro. We're going to revisit a topic that I covered in Angular 2, 4, and now 5. And it's also worth doing simply because Material has updated and changed and the integration process is a little bit different. So let's go ahead. I'm going to jump over to the console and but real quick, before we begin, make sure you check out my site, Coursetro.com, where you're going to find a bunch of courses on modern design and development. A lot are free, and the others you can access for the cost of buying me like a 6-pack each month. That's it. Now also, it probably wouldn't hurt to subscribe here on YouTube, and be sure to make sure the notifications are turned on. All right, let's get back to it. I'm just going to assume for a second that you already have the Angular CLI or command line interface tool installed. If you don't know what I'm talking about, then it's probably a pretty good idea to check out the Angular 5 beginners course at Coursetro.com. So assuming you have that already installed, we're going to ng new. We're going to say ng5-material for the project name. I'm not going to add any routing or any other type of flags here for that. Although you may want to add the -- style equals Sass or SCSS flag in case you did want to make custom adjustments to the material theme. I kind of forgot about that, but that's no big deal. We're not going to do that in this video. You can check out the documentation for that specifically. So come on, install. Yeah, just before this, my children both go to dance, and it is the most horrible process. They're screaming, you don't want to do their hair. I'm yelling like, dude, I gotta do this video. Oh, sucks. Anyhow, they're out of the house. Okay, so it just installed. Like you guys wanted to know that. ng5-material. And now we're going to run ng-serve. And this just serves it, builds out the project. We can access it at localhost 4200, which we'll be doing periodically throughout this tutorial. And we're also going to get our new console window. So I'm using Commander. It's a console emulator with a custom theme. Maybe I'll release that. Some people have always been requesting it. All right, and then next we have to integrate Material. So at this point, we created a new, just fresh Angular 5 project with the CLI. Now we have to integrate Material. To do that, we're going to hop back into ng5-material here. We're going to run npm install at Angular material and also Angular CDK, and then save it as a dev dependency in the package JSON file that was created with the CLI. So this will install momentarily. Normally I would just pause and speed this up, but kind of pressed for time. All right, good. That didn't take too long. All right, then next we have to install animations because Angular material rely on Angular animations, as some of the components rely on having that installed. So we also have to install that. So npm install, save it at Angular/animations. All right. And I'm going to go ahead while this installs and get out my code editor here. I'm going to open up the project folder off screen. All right, and that's done. Sweet. Okay, so I'm going to increase this just so you guys can see it. One more. Yeah, that's fine. Okay, so next we have to go to source app and our app module because we just used npm to install animations. Now we have to actually import it. So I'm going to copy this and paste this off screen. By the way, when I'm pasting stuff, I'm getting it from the written version of this tutorial. So pretty much every tutorial I create, I do a written version. And if you're watching this on YouTube, and you probably are, then look in the description. In the very first line, it shows written tutorial, and it has all the code there. So you don't have to worry, like, what the hell? Why is this guy pasting? All right, so right here, import browser animations module from this library here in the animations, and then we just copy this and we put it as an import. Save it. All right, so very, very simple. So now what we need to do is import each material component that we want to use in our project. Now, normally we can do this here right here in our app module TS file. But really, for the purpose of organization and keeping our app module brief, you can create a custom module file specifically for your material component imports. And then we'll just import that in here. So first, let's create a new file. So Control B here in Visual Studio Code. And we're going to create a new file in the same folder called material.module.ts. All right. So in order for this to work, the first thing that we need to set up is just two different imports right there. And then we have an ng model. Oops, sorry. ng module rather, not model. And then inside of here, we have our imports and exports. And then we export our class. We're going to call it material module. That's what we import in our app module momentarily. So now right here in this line is where we're going to import any of our components. We're in here within these squiggly brackets. So we'll import the mat button module, or in other words, the button module from, or the button component from at Angular/material. So that's the first step. You import it up here. And then in ng module, this needs to be capitalized, by the way, we put an imports property and then the name right here. And we will separate these with comma if you have more, and we will momentarily. And then also we have to export them as well, the same exact thing. Just like that. All right, so now we can save this and we go back to our app module TS and we import the name of that module, which is material module right here, from material.module. Then we take this and we add it right here. Awesome. Okay, so let's go ahead and save that. So the next step that's required is to include an Angular material theme. And so a theme provides a set of predefined colors that will be applied to your material design components. So the colors consist of primary colors, accent colors, a warning set of colors, foreground and background colors. And now at the time of writing this tutorial, they provide you, and I think this has pretty much been standard. They didn't like sit there and make a bunch of these themes. There's basically 4 that you can choose from. So what we want to do now is visit the source styles.css file, and we're going to add the following line. So import, we see Angular material pre-built themes indigo pink.css. So the other ones are deep amber.css, pink, blue, gray, and purple, green. Not the greatest names, but whatever. So let's go ahead and save that. And now we have to import with npm or install with npm Hammer.js. And that's because some of the components require this for full feature support in terms of gestures. So let's go ahead and go back to our console here. And we're going to npm install, save it to a dev dependency, Hammer.js. All right, so I'm going to let this run. Now we just have to import this in our app's entry point at main.ts. So we're going to go right here, and we just simply add it right there and save that. Okay, so we're almost there. We have one last step, and that is a lot of material design in general. If you're building like a full-featured app that has pure material design, you're probably going to run into a situation where you need icons. In order to use the icons, you have to import the icons in your source index.html file. So that is right here. So I'm copying this code from the written tutorial. Hit Control B, and this is right here what you want to import. It's just from the googleapis.com here. Material icons. All right, so that's it. It's pretty much ready to go and ready to use at this point. Now we did import one material component, which is the button. So let's try that out and test it out and make sure everything works at this point. Now, before I even do that, I'm going to step over to the browser and check out just to make sure there's no errors going on in the console. So let's go. I'm going to get out our, well, I'll just get a new window here. Not very organized, am I? We're going to put in localhost. Sweet. Control-Shift-I. All right, no errors. Okay, so let's go ahead and test out and make sure Material is actually integrated. And by the way, I know it's integrated, but you know, we just have to be certain of these things. So I'm going to my source app component HTML file, just getting rid of all that. And let's just put in a button. And what's going to designate this as a actual material button is when we add the directive mat-button. And this is all in the documentation, and we'll see that how all this works momentarily. My button. So let's just save that. Let's go back to our, where'd it go? Right here. And there you go. So if I hover over this and click this, all that animation and this hover is coming directly from Angular Material. So it works. All right, so at this point, it's probably worth developing some muscle memory and also understanding how to look at the Material official documentation so that you can go on and really understand how to use a specific component that I'm not going to be covering because we're just going to do a few here. Get your feet wet, understand how the docs work, and you'll be able to, you know, pretty much do everything you want with Material on your own. All right, so let's go ahead and I'm going to come back here. Let's go to our, let's see. Yeah, I think we'll start off with looking at the documentation actually. So I'm going to come over here. Material.angular.io. And we're going to click on components. Now you can see this is structured in such a way that it gives you quick access to all the stuff over here. So let's click on, for instance, I think we'll try navigation. So let's say we want to integrate a toolbar. We'll click on toolbar and we'll see these 3 tabs up here. And so each component is structured in the same exact format. So you have an overview, contains you just with basic information and potential possibilities. An API, which shows you the name that you need to import. And in our case, that's in the material.module.ts file. And also the directives it shows you down here. And then also the examples. So they'll give you just various examples. And if you click on this view source, you'll see the HTML associated with these examples down here, along with the TypeScript, which gets defined in your component class. And a lot of them don't have any custom TypeScript. Some of them that are interactive will show you actual code within this section down here. And then the CSS, if there's any special CSS that we need access to. Okay, so simple enough. So let's go ahead and try adding this toolbar based on this documentation. So if I go to our API, we'll grab just this right here. We're going to go back to our material. Where'd that go? Right here. And we're going to add a comma. And then we're also going to add it here and here. All right, so we'll save that. And next we'll visit our app component HTML. We're going to get rid of this. And I'm going to paste in, again, don't get mad. A lot of people get really mad when I paste in like a bulk of HTML. Don't worry, it's right in that written tutorial, so visit the link down there. So right here, I'm going to paste in this. And it's very simple. So we just simply have our mat toolbar directive, color is primary. We also use the mat toolbar row. And then we put a span for kind of like a logo area called my material. This span class example spacer, and then 3 buttons. All right. Now, in order for this to work, well, you may be wondering, where did I get this HTML from? Well, it actually comes from that documentation. I just edited it slightly based on our needs. So for instance, we go to examples. We'll see it's actually very similar to this. I didn't need 3 rows, obviously. And the CSS, we also need to put this in. So I'm going to copy that. And we're going to go to our app component CSS. Save that. And now make sure all of your files are saved. And if we go back here, voila, there we go. So let's go down and let's also add a few more. So let's create maybe something like a form where someone can put in like in a text area input or text input field, give an answer, click a button, it'll show a progress spinner from Material, and then it will show the result. Very simple, but it shows you how to work with multiple components and also in relation and tie them in together with the logic of your component class. So the first thing we'll do is go back to our Material module, and we're going to use one called the mat input module. And again, this all comes from the documentation. Let me show you real quickly. That's not it. The hell are you doing? There we go. So like I wanted an input, click on input, go to API, bam, right there. And it shows you this is what it's going to look like. Very slick inputs here. All right. So I'm also going to use a progress spinner. That's also in the documentation on the left bar. You can find it there. And then also a card module. So not Angular, but Material cards are huge in just material design in general. So we have these three right up here that I just added. Now I'm going to copy just right from there, this beginning comma, paste it there, and there we go. So let's save that. And then next we're going to go to our app component, and just beneath this stuff, we're going to add some more. You know what? I'll be nice and I'll do this from scratch. So we have our mat card. So we're going to contain the entire form inside of a card. So then we're going to put a mat form field. This will hold the input. It's going to be mat input. We're going to use two-way data binding through ng model. Why do I say model? Oh, it's not. Okay, sorry. ng module. It's not module. Oh man, I need some coffee. So we're basically, if you don't know what this is, by the way, basically it's two-way in that it communicates the property from the component class to the template, and also from the template to the component class. If you're kind of still confused based on that answer, check out the free Angular 5 course at Coursetro. Placeholder, who has the best dev tutorials? Yeah, I think we know who that answer is, hopefully. All right, and then I'm going to put a line break here. And then I'm going to put in a button of mat raised button. And again, you can find all that stuff. It gives you different options in the button section of the documentation. We're going to have a click event once somebody clicks on it. We're going to call a method called show answer. Answer me. And then finally at the bottom here, we're just going to show a mat-spinner. And we're going to use CSS style or property binding. So style.display. That refers to the CSS display rule set, or not rule set, but property. And we're going to bind it to a property that we haven't yet defined called show spinner, which is going to be a true or false Boolean. If it's true, then we set display to block. Otherwise, which is what that colon is, we set it to none. And that's it. Now we also want to show the result or the answer. So we're going to put a new mat card. We're going to say ngIf equals answer display. This is another property that we will define. Put an h1 through interpolation. We put answer display. And then comma, you're damn right. All right. So we'll save that. And next, because if we try to use this, by the way, I'm going to show you, it's going to error. And it's no big deal. Can't bind to ng model since it's not a known property of input. So the reason that happens is because in order to use ng model, we have to go to our app module right there, TS file, and we have to import the forms module. So we'll do that right there, and then add forms module as an import. Now if we go back, There we go. Awesome, awesome, awesome. It's not going to work yet, so let's go back real quickly. We'll go to our, let's see, our app component TS file. Okay. All right, so this is fairly straightforward stuff. It's going to be real basic. We're going to define 3 different properties at the top. So first we have our answer, which is what the NG model was looking at, which is, we're going to make that a string. We're going to have answer display property that we referenced. And then also a show spinner of Boolean, which is true or false, and set it to false initially. So when the app loads, we don't want to show it. All right, and then we're just going to do show answer, which is the method that we referenced on the click event. We're going to say once it's clicked, show spinner equals true. And then to emulate, you know, like an API call, like if it's saving this to a database somewhere or persisting it or whatever, then we're going to have a set timeout. So set timeout will just emulate a little bit of a delay so we can actually see the spinner. So in here, we just put in this dot answer display equals this dot answer. And then this dot show spinner equals false. And then in the second argument, we put in the delay. I'll say 2 seconds or 2000 milliseconds. And guess what? That is all it is. All right, so let's save that and give it a go. Damn thing better work. All right, I think it's, yeah, it's all ready to go. I just wanted to be sure. Of course, I'm going to answer it with the correct answer. Corsetro, answer me. Oh, yeah. Kind of looks ugly just sitting there. And there you go. Corsetro, you're damn right. And this here is technically a Material Angular app, albeit, you know, pretty crappy app. And it doesn't really do anything much. But that's it. Hopefully you can probably have a lot of confidence now going forward, you know, integrating your material in your Angular 5 app. All right, if you enjoyed this, make sure you subscribe here, like it, leave a comment. I don't really get many comments on my videos and it sucks. I sit there crying all the time. I look at other people, other competitors, and there's like 100 comments. Like, what the hell, man? So anyhow, also check out Corsetro.com and I'll see you later.